Hello everybody and welcome to the second part of the rule video series for the Swedish Nationals 2024. It's actually the Zone Laser Tag Swedish Championships, but I'm so used to saying Swedish Nationals or Swednats, so I will just keep doing that. We will go through some terminology in this video. Might not be super exciting, but it needs to be done, right? So first I will talk about a little bit about the arena. So the arena consists of three parts wherever you go. It will be the airlock, vesting room, kit up room, call it whatever. The actual maze and base areas. And besides that, there are several other types of areas like reload areas, no-go zones, traverse areas, one-man zones. There's like tons of them. We have two specific zones besides those three in the arena we will use for Swedish Nationals, and those are the no-stop zones for deactivated players and also the no-play zone. There's one. So I will talk about those specifically and not the other ones that we don't use. So the maze, that is the area where we play. Besides that, we have the airlock, which is where the packs are and where the airlock ref is, and where players are getting ready for the next game and so forth. A player who is active and playing cannot go into the vesting room or airlock. So many names for that one. Unless they are doing a pack swap, or if they, let's say, are injured and have to leave the arena for that reasons. If you're not doing a pack swap, you cannot go back inside the arena. A player can choose to leave the game, like, I don't know, they really have to pee or something, I don't know, but in theory they could. The bases will have their own chapters, we will not talk more about that. The no-stop zones for deactivated players are an area just outside the bases, just by the baseline. And if you are deactivated, you cannot stop there. You have to keep moving because we want those areas clear so that players can actually play the bases, because it's easy for it to get crowded with the Swedish bases. Our layout is really, you can really play like standing by the baseline and just popping a shot in, because our bases are so small. So that is why we have that area. We also have a no-play zone. It's a staircase behind blue base, and that means you cannot go there. If you go there, you will get a warning. So the next thing we're going to talk about is warnings. There are typically three types of warnings. You have the verbal ones that has no real consequence, and then you have the level 1 warning, which is the common warning, and we also have the level 2 warning. And as we go through the rules in later chapters, we will explain what gives a level 1 and what gives a level 2. We will go to that as we move along. Warnings are dealt with the God box. We call it, like for every tournament there's a different name. You can call it a MOX, you can call it a car key fob, and you have these cards that I don't know the name of. So I will just use the term God box if I ever need to say that again. When a referee can deal a warning from the moment that the player enters the airlock until the moment they exit the airlock. So the game doesn't even have to start for a warning to be dealt. That would commonly be rude language, or I don't know, kicking the wall, or being not careful with the pack, throwing it on the floor. I'm not sure. Like it could happen. And it's commonly those types of rules that are breached when the game is over and you give out a warning after the game has ended. A warning could be dealt after the game. It's called an after-game warning. And that could happen for various reasons. It could be that the referee identifies a rule breach, but they don't see the actual player. They see the color of the pack, but not the player. Then you give the team minus points afterwards. It could also be that the player runs away and the referee is stuck in his base. He can't follow and actually deal the termination or warning. Then we also use the term termination. We also have different names for that. And instead, the player will be dealt a warning after the game, and the player will be shall be informed by the referee that they have received an after game. And then the referee tells the volunteer who writes the score to deduct 1,000 or 2,000 points after the game. I might mention that level 1 is a minus 1,000 points for comp, different for different formats, but for comp is minus 1,000, and a level 2 is minus 2,000. A team captain can appeal a warning for it to be reverted, and there can be more, but there's 3 common instances that would give the points back to the team, and those would be: the referee gives a warning for a rule that does not exist. That will be a revert for that. That could, for example, be a rule that's used in one country but not in Sweden. The warning was dealt by mistake. There's a pretty good spread on the IR on the God boxes. So if you warn a player, but you don't make sure nobody is behind that player or next to that player, you could actually warn 2 players by mistake, and the player that was not intended to be warned should have their points back. They will get no more than that. They will just get their points back. And there's also been instances of a player being warned twice for the same thing. So there could be somebody doing something, maybe falling over, and the referee in the base can't exit the base to give the warning, so they just give it as an after game. But some referee actually see it and gives the actual warning. So that would be 2 warnings for the same thing that will also give points back. One thing worth mentioning is that a warning is never dealt afterwards. We will not watch the Twitch stream and then deal 1,000 minus. We will not watch or ask witnesses or anything like that. There has been many requests for that. That will not happen. What can happen, however, if somebody does something really dirty or like a severe breach of conduct or something like that, then we can watch the Twitch stream and the team could get a warning, or the team captain could be called into a meeting. So there could be consequences because of the Twitch stream, but there will not be like a warning dealt for that particular game. Replays. A lot of captains has approached me asking for replays over the course of the years. I will list the most common reasons. Well, there are not actually common, but the ones that has happened that will enforce a replay. And those are: a base unit goes offline. If the players can't shoot the base, then it's not possible to actually play the game. The server goes offline, stops counting points, or just for any reason crashes, then that would be a replay. A hazard in the arena, such as a drain leaking from the roof or anything similar, or there's been instances where there's a lot of dirt on the floor making it slippery, things like that. That could be a replay if a player falls because of that, for instance, or if it's too dangerous to actually play the game seriously. We also have an instance where a player is accidentally removed by a ref. It happened once when there was something wrong with the God box. So the player was removed from the game, and when that happens, there will be a replay. We've also had instances where a fight breaks out among the players. It's been a very long time since that happened, but that would probably be a replay, and those players would be removed from the game. When there is a replay, all level 2 warnings stays. So if there's a level 2 warning being dished out and then there's a replay, that warning stays. All the level 1 warnings are disregarded. If a pack is malfunctioning early game, like if it's the first thing that happened, there could also be a replay. If a pack starts malfunctioning, even if it's just like a few seconds in and the attacks have started and the game is going, then there should be a pack swap. There should not be a replay. Schedules or grids. In our grids we have timestamps for each game. The timestamp will probably not correspond exactly to when the game starts. We could be a little bit ahead of time, or we could be trailing a little bit. But each team is expected to be where they should be before the game starts, preferably a minute or they risk getting locked out of the airlock. So each captain needs to keep track of the grid when it's their turn and not rely on the timestamp, because a team cannot approach the organizer, which would be me, and demand a replay or to be let in because the timestamp of the game didn't correspond when the game actually started. What a player must do to be allowed to play. So in order to go in and play any game of the tournament, a player needs to be sure a few things, prerequisites, are met first. The player must have paid for the tournament. We will not accept payment afterwards or mid-tournament. Should be paid before the player enters. The player must have a login card. The player must be registered to a team. The player must make sure not to bring any illegal items into the arena. And with illegal, I don't mean drugs. I mean smartphones or similar when there's a series, for instance. And one that is always a big discussion. A player must make sure that their hair or beard does not interfere with the pack. And that means it should not touch the plastic. Now there's, of course, instances where that could happen, like whatever precaution you take, but we will not accept like really long beard or very long hair hanging, like covering chest sensors or back sensors. That needs to be addressed first. Local rules. So we will add local rules. It would be the rule about how far you can lean over a low wall, the no stop areas outside the bases, the no bouncing in roofs, etc., etc. All our local rules will be added in the grid as small boxes of information that you can easily find, and we are expecting you to follow them. Substitutes. We will allow 2 substitutes per team, and substitutes are not required to wait in the airlock when their team is playing unless they are playing a series. Series. Our whole System D will be played as a set of series. And when we're playing series, there are some specific rules for that. And those are: no player may leave the airlock during series. There will be a line in the corridor leading to the airlock. If you cross that line, you may not return. If a player crosses that line and returns to the airlock, the whole team is disqualified. If the player crosses the line and remains outside, he's just not participating, and the team may play with 4 or use a substitute if needed. During the series, all substitutes must remain in the airlock unless you choose not to utilize them during the whole series. In the last game of the series, a substitute may choose to leave because they cannot pass on any more information anyway. This does not apply in the grand final. During series, you are not allowed to bring smartphones into the airlock. They must be left outside in a designated box, and we will take care of the box, don't worry about that. Should there be a phone inside the airlock and a player is caught looking at his phone or her phone, that team is disqualified. Referees are not allowed to bring smartphones either into the arena when we are playing series. Alright my friends, that concludes the second video. But stay tuned and we will be back with the third one.